Word of the day today is antithesis. So antithesis is a noun which refers to the direct opposite or contrast of something. It is often used in rhetoric or literary context to highlight the contrast between two ideas or concepts. Examples of antithesis. In literature, the use of antithesis can create a dramatic contrast to emphasize differences between two concepts. So an example of that would be with Dickens in A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Here, the best and worst are opposites, showcasing the antithesis of the situation. A more everyday example of antithesis would be the antithesis of love is not hate, but indifference. So this highlights that the opposite of love, which people usually think is hate, is not necessarily its opposite, but rather the lack of any emotion, which is indifference. A philosophical example of antithesis would be the antithesis of freedom is oppression. Here, the idea of freedom is contrasted with its opposite, oppression. It comes from the Greek word which means opposition or contrast. Synonyms of antithesis are contrast, contradiction, opposition, reverse, inverse, and antagonism. Antonyms of antithesis are similarity, agreement, sameness, alignment, and affinity. Antithesis is used in rhetoric. It's a rhetorical device used to create contrast in order to emphasize the differences between two ideas. It's often used in speeches and writing to make an argument more forceful or memorable. For example, Martin Luther King's speech, I Have a Dream, includes antithesis, where he says, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. The contrast here is between the reality of racial inequality and the ideal of equality, underlying the power of his vision. So antithesis means opposition or contrast and is often used to create a sharp distinction between two opposing ideas or concepts.